Tonight, the horrific crash near Yellowstone National Park. 7 killed in a tourist van collision. The fiery scene on the highway after a truck hit a van packed with visitors, both vehicles going up in flames. What we know about those on board. Another close call at Reagan National Airport. A military helicopter flying off course. 2 passenger jets forced to abandon their landings just months after that collision at the same airport. New reporting from Tom Costello. NBC News exclusive with President Trump. What he told our Kristen Welker about the risk of a recession. Taking the stand, the police officer who shot an unarmed black man in the back of the head confronted in court with his body camera footage as he tells the jury why he believes he had to fire his weapon. Contentious testimony from a key witness in the Karen Reed trial. Why she says Reed made her Google the question, how long to die in the cold. Prince Harry's bombshell interview revealing new details about his estrangement from the royal family, including that he does not speak to the king and doesn't know how much longer his father has to live. And cutting the cord. The internet and cable provider brought down in one major city by vandals cutting these wires. Plus the major change from discount retailer TEMU, how they're now going to ship all their products from America instead of from China. Top Story starts right now. Good evening. I'm Ellison Barber in for Tom Llamas. We start tonight with the terrifying tour van crash near Yellowstone National Park. At least 7 people killed. Police just identifying one of the drivers. Video capturing the horrific aftermath. A Mercedes van completely engulfed in flames. Plumes of thick black smoke ripping across the sky. The flames coming after that van collided with the red Dodge truck you see right there, straddling the partition. Dramatic video shows emergency helicopters landing at the scene as flames quickly consume the truck. We know at least 3 people were airlifted to area hospitals and others were treated near that crash site. This all happened on Highway 20 near Henry's Lake, which is roughly 20 miles east of Yellowstone National Park near the Idaho-Wyoming border. Right now, investigators searching for answers, trying to determine what caused the horrific collision. NBC's Morgan Chesky starts off our coverage tonight.
Tonight, this fatal crash turned inferno, launching a growing investigation near Yellowstone National Park. Authorities say a pickup truck and a tour van with 14 people inside collided, then caught fire. The impact killing the truck's driver and 6 others inside the van. The accident happening late Thursday on a busy state highway, just 15 miles west of the popular national park.
This is by far the worst I've ever seen.
Roger Merrill, one of the first to witness the fiery aftermath, capturing this video of an air ambulance arriving as crews try to reach victims caught amid flaming wreckage. Stunned survivors lining the road, trying to comfort each other.
When you arrived on that scene just minutes after the collision, what struck you?
Just how horrific it was. When the fire broke out, there was one first responder who had just arrived who attempted with a fire extinguisher to put it out. But the flame just spread so quickly and engulfed both vehicles.
Tonight, authorities say the cause of the crash remains under investigation.
And Morgan Chesky joins us now from Los Angeles. Morgan, a horrific scene, and listening to Roger's testimony there and what he saw, it's hard to wrap your mind around this. But some of those tourists, they actually were able to get out. What more do we know about their condition?
Yeah, Ellison, incredibly, several survived. We have learned, according to hospital officials, that 5 family members were taken to a nearby hospital, equaling about 60 miles away in that rural area. But fortunately, tonight, we can report that 3 of those relatives were released from the hospital and 2 remain in stable condition. Ellison.
Morgan Chesky, thank you. Tonight, federal investigators are looking into yet another close call at Reagan National Airport in Washington, again involving a military helicopter. This time, air traffic controllers ordered 2 passenger jets to cancel their landings at Reagan after the chopper got too close. Here's NBC's Tom Costello.
Just 3 months after a mid-air crash between a military helicopter and a passenger jet at Reagan National Airport, the NTSB and the FAA now investigating another close call. On Thursday, a military chopper flying to the Pentagon, identified as Pat 23, deviated from its flight path near Reagan Airport, the tower ordering the pilot to head west towards the Pentagon landing pad.
3, proceed westbound now.
Pat 23.
testifies westbound now.
With the military chopper violating minimum separation rules between aircraft, the controller ordered Delta and Republic flights to cancel their landings and go around.
Delta 1671, Tom, maintain 3000, go around 3000.
Going around 3000, Delta 1671.
After January's crash that killed 67 people, the FAA ordered a halt to chopper flights around the airport that aren't police, medevac, or national security, including Marine One. Today, a clearly frustrated transportation secretary.
And I don't know who's on this helicopter, but if we're transporting generals through that airspace because they can't get in an SUV, they can't take an Uber, but they have to take a helicopter, that is wrong.
That investigation comes as Newark Airport has been hit with days of hours-long delays following air traffic control equipment failures and staffing shortages. 20% of the workforce walked off the job. Late today, the CEO of United Airlines, with a big hub at Newark, announced it is cutting 35 round-trip flights a day out of Newark starting this weekend, writing, "We feel like there is no other choice in order to protect our customers." Secretary Duffy warning it could be a sign of things to come this summer.
Tom Costello joins us now from Washington. Tom, let's go back to that close call at Reagan with that military chopper Pat-23. Has the Pentagon said anything tonight?
Yeah, we've asked the Pentagon for official confirmation. We haven't heard back yet. However, sources are telling our Pentagon team that this apparently was 2 pilots and a crew member on board this military chopper, and they were practicing some sort of an emergency evacuation plan in which they would land at the Pentagon. At some point, they were ordered by controllers to go around and come back. But the actual activity, how this all went down, we're still trying to get confirmation from the Pentagon.
Tom Costello, thank you. President Trump speaking out to our Kristen Welker tonight in an exclusive interview. She pressed him about the state of the economy, with many warning a recession might be on the horizon. But despite those fears, it was a strong day for the stock market. The S&P 500 with its longest winning streak in 20 years. NBC's Garrett Haight reports from the White House.
Tonight, Wall Street surging, the Dow up 564 points. The Nasdaq and S&P 500 each recovering all of their losses since President Trump announced steep tariffs on imports on April 2nd. It follows a strong jobs report, the economy adding 177,000 jobs in April, the unemployment rate holding steady. The first report fully factoring in President Trump's tariffs. All of it as recent polls show many Americans disapprove of his handling of the economy. The president tonight in an exclusive interview with NBC's Kristen Welker.
Some people on Wall Street have expressed concerns that the possibility of a recession is increasing. And I want to know what you think about that. Are you comfortable with the country potentially dipping into a recession for a period of time if you are able to achieve your long-term goals?
Well, you know, you say some people on Wall Street say, well, I tell you something else. Some people on Wall Street say that we're going to have the greatest economy in history. Why don't you talk about them? Because some people on Wall Street say this is the greatest thing.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at, though. It's the same question.
Yeah, there are many people on Wall Street say this is going to be the greatest windfall ever happened.
And that's my question.
Remember
the
this.
long term. Yeah. Is it okay in the short term to have a recession?
This. Look, everything's okay. What we are, I said, this is a transition period. I think we're going to do fantastically.
Meanwhile, the president tonight renewing his feud with Harvard University, posting, "We're going to be taking away Harvard's tax-exempt status. It's what they deserve." Harvard, which has already sued the administration over frozen federal grant funding, responding, "There is no legal basis to rescind Harvard's tax-exempt status." President Trump has slammed Harvard, including over accusations of anti-Semitism. This week, in a scathing report, a university task force found a, quote, demonization of Israel on campus, including bullying and intimidation of Jewish students. The university's president previously telling Lester that President Trump's problems with the nation's wealthiest university are unrelated.
Is this really about anti-Semitism?
I would say that at Harvard, we have a real problem with anti-Semitism. We take it very seriously, and we're trying to address it. There's no doubt about the severity of that problem. We don't really see the relationship to research funding at Harvard and other universities. They are two different issues.
And Garrett Haake joins us now from the White House. Garrett, let's go back to that new role for Secretary of State Marco Rubio for a second, where he's serving as National Security Advisor in an interim capacity. Do we know who President Trump is looking at to fill that position permanently?
Well, Ellison, all of our reporting is that this is basically Marco Rubio's job for as long as he wants it. President Trump trusts him. He thinks he's good at this role, but understands that he's got a lot of hats that he's already wearing. The other two contenders whose names have surfaced most often also very much like the jobs they're doing now. Stephen Miller, who's a deputy chief of staff, who's been focused throughout his career on illegal immigration, handling that portfolio now, may not want to make the lateral shift. Likewise, Steve Witkoff, who's doing a lot of the work that you normally see a Secretary of State doing, traveling around the world on various diplomatic missions for the president, may not want to stop doing that to come back to Washington and manage a staff. There are other folks with more management experience inside the sort of greater Trump orbit. I'm thinking of someone like Sebastian Gorka, who's already a member of the NSC, or Michael Anton, who served in it last year. Both could potentially come back to lead that agency. Ellison?
Senior White House correspondent Garrett Haake, thank you. And you can catch Kristen Welker's exclusive interview with President Donald Trump this Sunday on NBC's Meet the Press. Severe thunderstorms threatening millions from Texas to New York today. In Burnett County, Texas, just southwest of Austin, a confirmed tornado caught on camera. That twister destroying several structures and injuring one person. And as we head into the weekend, the dangerous weather threat not letting up. So let's get right to NBC News Boston meteorologist Tevin Wooten. Tevin, walk us through what you're watching right now.
Well, Ellison, this has been a day after day after day event practically all week long for a lot of the country, from New York all the way down to Texas. We're watching severe thunderstorms today and potentially gusty winds, 70 to maybe even 80 miles an hour. There's more than 50 million Americans under risk right now for severe thunderstorms. But it's not just the thunderstorms that's the issue. It's what's inside of those. We could actually see spots between Waco, San Antonio, and Lufkin get hail about the size of a lemon or a lime. Yesterday, we had hail the size of a grapefruit. That's about 4.5 inches wide. So here's the severe storms right now on radar, stretching to Houston, Jackson, Mississippi, and the Twin States, and across portions of eastern Tennessee and into Kentucky. Right now, no tornado warnings, but unfortunately, I think this mean line charging towards Houston will be the next one to watch. We're also monitoring the threat of storms tomorrow, which is so unfortunate because of the Kentucky Derby that's ongoing tomorrow in Churchill Downs. It seems like they'll have to battle some thunderstorms tomorrow in and around the racetrack. Severe thunderstorms are possible, too, from Washington all the way down into Raleigh, North Carolina, and across the eastern seaboard. That tornado risk ultimately starting to diminish with time, especially into the weekend. But again, because of the Kentucky Derby and that threat of severe thunderstorms, we're monitoring that, and it will be day after day after day of rainfall, Ellison, across the Northeast, where spots of New Jersey and New York could pick up 4 to maybe even 6 inches of rain between Sunday and next Thursday.
Tevin Wooten, thank you. We're back now with a fight breaking out in the middle of a Kansas courtroom at the end of a murder trial. 6 people now facing charges after friends and family of both the victim and the defendant started throwing punches. NBC's Priya Sridhar takes us inside the chaotic courtroom.
This fight breaking out during the sentencing phase of a murder trial between members of the victim's family and the defendant's loved ones. Punches still flying as the fight grows even bigger, moving into the aisle. Until finally, deputies restore order. Both sides in court to find out how much time Tobias Robinson would spend in jail for shooting and killing Trinjavius Hutton at a mall in 2022. That murder occurring in broad daylight. At the sentencing hearing, the victim's mother pleading to the judge.
I'm not saying that we innocent, but you know what I'm saying? I hate him, and I hope something bad happens to him in jail. I hate it. And I think that you could consider you should give him the max that you can, because evidently he don't care.
Saying her son's killer showed no remorse.
I hate you, and I hope you die in jail.
Those words starting an argument between people watching.
Judge is asking how you guys go. Nobody.
2 people removed at the judge's request.
Get up, bro. Come here, bro. Tell yeah, you was a. Come on, guys.
But not before fists started flying.
Hey,
Once court resumed, the convicted killer sentenced to 21 years in prison. Now 6 people involved in the fight charged with misdemeanors. Relatives of the victim charged with disorderly conduct, and his mother for using, quote, fighting words. Those charged could not immediately be reached for comment and didn't have attorneys listed. Now, as they prepare for their own hearings, a protective order in place to try and prevent something like this from happening again.
And Priya Sridhar joins us now with more. I mean, Priya, this was a massive brawl, but we have seen other examples of tense situations and even fighting in courtrooms. What's going on? Is there a security issue?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Allison. It seems like the frequency of these courtroom disputes and brawls is increasing, and it's not just between defendants and victims. We've even seen recent examples of defendants flinging themselves over the bench and trying to attack judges and even prosecutors. And legal analysts say there's a number of reasons for that. Number one, a lot of the court proceedings after COVID have moved off of being virtual back into the courtroom in person. We're also talking about extremely polarizing times. They say that also the rise of these courtroom drama shows like Judge Judy that kind of emulate conflict and drama is also a contributing factor, Allison.
NBC's Priya Sridhar, thank you. When we returned back on the stand, the star witness grilled by the defense today in the Karen Read trial. The Google search she did that night that is a key part of the case. And American Made, the major Chinese retailer, now shifting its business to America. We're back now with Top Stories news feed and an update on that fan who fell from the stands at a Pittsburgh Pirates game Wednesday night. The shocking moment captured in a viral video. The fan who fell 20 feet onto the field at Pittsburgh's PNC Park has now been identified as 20-year-old Kevin Markwood. Markwood is hospitalized in serious condition. A spokesperson from his high school says Markwood was a standout football player and known as someone who embodied resilience and kindness. In California, a high school basketball star injured in a fiery car crash is finally leaving the hospital. You can see the joy here. The top USC recruit, Elijah Arenas, coming home to a room filled with flowers and balloons. The 18-year-old was placed in a medically induced coma after crashing his Tesla Cybertruck into a tree. Los Angeles police telling NBC News their investigation is ongoing, and they're looking into excessive speed as a possible factor in the crash. Comcast is working to restore service to customers in Texas after a widespread outage caused, they say, by vandalism. The company sharing photos of several broken cables in the Houston area. In a statement, Comcast, the parent company of NBC, says this is the result of back-to-back acts of suspected vandalism. Xfinity customers saying the outage knocked out their internet, television, and DVR services. Police are investigating. New developments with Hawaii's Kilauea volcano. Video shows lava fountain spraying more than 300 feet into the air. That eruption ending early this morning after nearly 8 hours. Scientists telling local media that the short eruption patterns could be a sign that larger lava fountains might be to come. A rare two-headed snake born in California in a California reptile store is actually surviving and thriving against the odds. Staff at the Berkeley Vivarium thought the California king snake would die shortly after it hatched last September, but to their pleasant surprise, they say it's doing well. Each head has a name, Angel and Zeke. The store says if the snake lives for at least a year, they'll consider selling it. Buyers have already made offers, some as high as $50,000. More dramatic testimony today in the retrial of Karen Read, the woman charged in the 2022 death of her boyfriend, who was a Boston police officer. Her attorneys arguing she's being framed by other cops. A key witness back on the stand today to answer questions from the defense. NBC's Emily Ikeda has more.
A key witness in Karen Read's murder retrial back on the stand and detailing the aftermath of Boston police officer John O'Keefe's death.
Or records from my phone.
Jennifer McCabe, who called 911 alongside Read, grilled by the defense today over why she never sought help from her brother-in-law inside the home feet from O'Keefe's body.
You knew that John O'Keefe was clinging to life during those precious minutes and seconds. Is that right?
I did, yes.
And you also knew that Brian Albert, your brother-in-law, was a first responder trained to deal with people in that kind of distress, correct?
In that moment, my only thoughts were John and everything we could do for John.
Prosecutors allege Reed struck O'Keefe with her car in a drunken rage and left him to die in the cold. 2 people have testified they heard Reed say she hit O'Keefe. But the defense says there was no collision and she's being framed. Today, suggesting McCabe coordinated with friends and family to get their story straight. Texting her sister about the investigation, Carrie talked to cops and kept simple. Her sister responded at one point, "I'll get more info tomorrow. Don't want to text about it."
You were colluding with other witnesses, percipient witnesses in this case through those text messages, were you not?
I was not.
Outside of the Massachusetts courthouse, Reed reacting.
What do you think the jury thought of Jen McCabe?
Anyone with common sense would think of Jen McCabe, I hope.
Prosecutors playing this clip today on the moment Reed spotted his body.
It was a weird-shaped lump at that time in those elements. And I was looking to find him on the side of the road.
As the legal saga that spurred an array of TV shows, podcasts, and protests gears up for its 3rd week.
Based on a blood alcohol test from Reed, the morning O'Keefe's body was found, a state police lab scientist estimated that Reed had likely been driving overnight with levels more than twice the legal limit. Reed says those calculations are based on assumptions. Ellison?
Emily Ikeda, thank you. Let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos for more on this. He has been following this retrial closely for us. We're also going to pick his brain on a couple other trials because, Danny, there's just so much legal news to go through. So let's start with Karen Reed's retrial and Jennifer McCabe on the stand. What did you make of it in cross? Did the defense do enough to possibly make a juror really question McCabe's testimony?
The defense successfully cross-examined McCabe in the first trial. The second trial, I'm not so sure. McCabe now is a veteran of trial and testimony. And I think she handled herself really, really well, given that she was on the stand for 3 days and subjected to withering cross-examination. I thought she really conveyed well the idea that, look, my memory's not perfect. This was many years ago. I may not remember things exactly. And she followed the rules that witnesses need to follow, which is don't fight with the attorney, just answer the questions to the best of your ability. And I think the defense and Karen Reed's defense team is very impressive, but I think they struggled a little with this witness.
Let me ask you about Luigi Mangione, the man accused of killing the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, last year, because his attorneys are now asking for the state of New York to dismiss their charges because there's a federal trial, and they're saying that is double jeopardy. A lot of legal words there. Break down for us what they are arguing, and do they actually have an argument?
So this is what we call basically an omnibus motion. It's throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. I file them. Every defense attorney files them all the time. They have a very low success rate. The motion asks for a few things. It asks to suppress evidence that was obtained in violation of the Constitution, both statements given without Miranda rights warnings and evidence that they found in a backpack. They also ask for the state or the court to dismiss the charges, yes, based on double jeopardy. But I think the stronger argument is one that we've been hearing for a while, which is by charging him with terrorism, the state may have overreached, because it has never been the case that just because firearms violence causes fear, that can be translated into terrorism. And the state needs that terrorism element to boost this from second-degree murder to first-degree murder. And this may be a case where they overcharge. But all that being said, courts are very, very reluctant to dismiss cases at this stage and even suppress evidence. So these motions are always a long shot.
Okay, let me ask you about another high-profile case happening in New York City. Sean Diddy Combs, his federal sex trafficking trial. They are going to do jury selection on Monday. What would his defense team be looking for in their ideal jurors? Because everybody gets a say, right, in who sits on the jury. And how does that process actually play out?
I think the defense has previewed that they're interested in burning through as many jurors as they can until they find the juror that they like the most. And that's because they have requested a lot of jurors, potential jurors, to show up for jury selection. In any high-profile case, it's always a challenge to find jurors who don't have preconceived notions about the defendant. But here's the thing. You don't need a juror who's completely ignorant of all things Diddy.
Yeah, because who would be, right?
Right, who would be? Although I think you'd be surprised. You would be amazed. I just picked a jury last week. You'd be amazed at how little regular folks know or are watching the news or anything. A lot of people live in their own bubble, and they may not be aware. I mean, look, after Justin Timberlake wasn't recognized by the cop that pulled him over, I now realize nobody is completely known by everybody out there. You may find jurors who do not know who Diddy is. I'm telling you, it's possible. I just picked a jury last week. I wouldn't run it by some of them. So you got to go through jurors, and as long as they can set aside whatever preconceived notions they have and judge the case on the facts in court, then that is an eligible juror.
All right. NBC's Danny Savalos, thank you. Next on Top Story, the pivotal testimony in the murder trial of Christopher Schur, the former Michigan police officer taking the stand in his own defense, explaining why he felt his life was in danger when he fatally shot Patrick Lyoya following a traffic stop back in 2022. NBC's Shaquille Brewster reports, and a warning, this report contains disturbing video.
Tonight, former Michigan police officer Christopher Schur taking the stand in his murder trial.
I believe that if I hadn't done it at that time, I wasn't going to go home.
Recounting the April 2022 day he fatally shot 26-year-old Patrick Lyoya, a refugee from the Democratic Republic of Congo, in the back of the head following a traffic stop in Grand Rapids.
My energy was depleted when I got the taser out initially. I don't know how I made it through that struggle.
What were you fearful of?
That he was going to use it on me and I was going to die.
Schur seen wiping his eyes in court as his body camera footage was played out for jurors.
Stay in the car! Stay in the car!
Testifying that his stress levels were raised after he pulled Lyoya over for driving with an improper license plate.
Do you have a license or no?
Lyoya trying to run away from Schur.
Stop! 1915, got one running. Stop!
Schur saying he put all his weight and used knee strikes on Lyoya in an effort to arrest him, but that he did not stay down.
To me, what made the most sense with my level of exhaustion and just the lack of effect with those strikes, I felt as though I needed to move to a taser just to actually interrupt the muscle function.
Schur losing his taser in the fight with Lyoya.
Let go of the taser!
In cell phone video shown in court, he's heard asking Lyoya to give up the weapon.
Drop taser!
Everyone.
Before shooting Lyoya in the back of the head, killing him. The prosecution arguing the shooting was an unjustified use of deadly force. During cross-examination today, pressing Schur on whether the taser held by Lyoya presented a deadly threat.
You've been working for Grand Rapids Police for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Any time where a police officer was injured, seriously injured by a taser?
Not that I'm aware of.
No police officers in Grand Rapids Police were killed by a taser?
Not that I'm aware of.
Schur testifying he feared if he was tased, Lyoya could then access his gun.
Did he ever go for your gun, did he?
No.
He never put his hand on your gun?
Not that I recall.
Never touched your gun?
Not that I recall.
Lyoya's family and their attorney in court today, calling for a conviction.
If it was your child, what would you want? That's what his family wants.
And Shaquille Brewster joins us now with more. Shaq, the central question for the jury here is, was the use of deadly force warranted? That has also been addressed by expert witnesses, though, from both sides, right? Walk us through the two arguments we've heard.
Yeah, Allison, jurors in this case heard testimony from experts on both sides of this case. For the prosecution, they brought on use of force experts, including one who we talked to for the show in the days after the shooting, who essentially said that the use of force was unreasonable and that the officer put himself in a more dangerous position. The defense, they brought on experts who were and are senior members of the Grand Rapids Police Department, including two who trained this officer. They said that the situation got more dangerous once Lyoya got hold of that taser. This will all come down, of course, to what jurors believe when they likely receive the case sometime next week, Allison.
Shaq Brewster, thank you. In tonight's top story, Global Watch, actor and comedian Russell Brand granted bail today on rape and sexual assault charges. Brand appearing in a London court for the first time since being charged last month. He addressed the court, confirming personal information and acknowledging that he understood the bail conditions. London police say Brand sexually assaulted 4 women between 1999 and 2005. Brand denies any wrongdoing and says it was all consensual. He'll be back in court for his next hearing on May 13th. And a ship carrying aid and volunteers heading for Gaza was struck by drones off the coast of Malta today. CCTV and passenger footage appears to show the moment drones hit that ship. The activist group running the aid mission is blaming the attack on Israel, but they have not released any specific evidence to support that claim. The Israeli military has not yet commented. The Maltese government released these images of crews putting out fires on the ship. They say all 16 people on board are safe. Final preparations underway today for next week's papal conclave. Video shows Vatican firefighters installing the chimney on the Sistine Chapel. This will signal when a new pope has been chosen. After the cardinals vote, the ballots are mixed with chemicals and burned. Black smoke means no pope has been elected. White smoke means a pope has been chosen. When Top Story returns in just a moment, the major change for TEMU just announced. Will the cheap stuff you buy there still be cheap? We're back now with major Chinese retailer TEMU announcing tonight they are halting all shipments to the U.S. from China amid President Trump's 145% tariffs on that country. The Trump administration also closing a loophole offering an exemption for companies selling low-cost items like TEMU and Shein. A spokesperson for TEMU telling NBC News TEMU has been actively recruiting U.S. sellers to join the platform. The move is designed to help local merchants reach more customers and grow their businesses. So how will this impact American customers on the site? NBC's Brian Chung joins us now. Brian, walk us through this move from TEMU and how did they likely reach this decision?
Yeah, Ellison, this is a pretty remarkable strategy change for TEMU, which is one of these enormously popular online retailers that ships oftentimes from China directly to the United States. They had been taking advantage of what they call the de minimis loophole, where items that were shipped directly from China that were under $800 in value could make their way to consumers here in the United States without facing any sort of tariffs or taxes along the way. Now, the Trump administration closed that as part of the tariffs that they ratcheted out on China, meaning that the $5 pan or the $8 blender that you used to be able to get from Shein would then, or rather from TEMU, would then be subject to that 145% tariff. Now, TEMU is now making this change, saying that it seems like they're going to prioritize and basically only focus on local sourcing, which means items that are already being shipped from within the United States, in which case it would not be subject to that now de minimis loophole change that would have otherwise subjected it to a 145% increase, meaning that they can continue to offer items to Americans at cheap prices without having to face those tariffs. But of course, whether or not those items are cheaper than the Chinese counterparts that they would have otherwise sold does remain an open question. If you go on the TEMU website, you see basically everything is marked as local, 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 suggesting that all of those items are shipped from the United States.
So, Brian, talk to us a little bit more about that in terms of this local sourcing. How is TEMU going to source that much demand locally in the United States so fast? And for American consumers, should they expect delays and some unavailability in a lot of goods while they figure out their supply chain with this?
Yeah, Ellison, it's a great question. And when it comes to their sourcing, a lot of that is pretty opaque, given that it is a Chinese company. But it does seem to suggest that given this change that we've seen as of today, that they seem to have some sort of supply chain pipeline that existed already in the United States. For what it's worth, the statement that they provided NBC News in just the last hour, they said, quote, TEMU had been actively recruiting U.S. sellers to join the platform. The move is designed to help local merchants reach more customers and grow their businesses. Again, how long they've been, quote unquote, actively recruiting those U.S. sellers does remain to be seen. But again, they say that this is a way for them to avoid pricing adjustments on consumers. And it does seem like maybe that's a way that they could also get products to American consumers faster. Presumably, if you don't have to ship it all the way from China, then it could get to customers' doors faster as well. But again, the pricing aspect of this is going to be very interesting. If they sold an $8 blender from China a month ago, can they still sell it at $8 with a U.S. supplier? That is an open question.
NBC's Brian Chung, thank you. And thank you so much for watching Top Story. I'm Ellison Barber in New York for Tom Llamas. Stay right there. More news is on the way.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.